Welcome to Pound the Rock Podcast, episode 3, I think. It's all coming together. We have in the house Bruce Boyd, Travis Ensign here to hang out with me today on a lovely rainy day. We are going to be talking about community involvement and Stonecutter and how we are involved in everything within our community. Last week we had, just to recap, Randy Mott. We talked about the Phoenix program, the involvement that we have with the Clean and Sober community, and the involvement Stonecutter has in that. And I think it perfectly got us to you guys and how you guys are involved in the community as well and leading that group at Stonecutter. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with you, Bruce. Introduce yourself. We'd love to hear your very white voice.
And what's the question?
There is no question. It's just so people can hear the voice. They want to know who this Bruce Boyd guy is.
Okay. The short story is that Cheryl started CrossFit probably about 6 years ago.
And who's Cheryl?
Cheryl's my lovely wife.
Yep.
And
a B.A. as we call her.
A beast, no doubt about it. And she started at another box, and I went to the first open to watch her compete in that, and I was hooked. I said, I got to get into some of this stuff. I loved the community and the support and the fitness that went with it. And so I actually joined another box instead of the one she was at because of logistics. I was working downtown. So went to that box and stayed there for probably about a year, and it was basically a cattle call. They just ran people in and out, and the coaching was subpar. It was, they show you one rep and say, do it like this. And I was always getting hurt because I didn't understand the technique, and I didn't know how to lift all that well. So I made the decision to switch over to what is now the old Wrath. And it was wonderful joining back with my wife and being able to join the Wrath community at the time, and then of course everybody knows the progression after that. Once Wrath failed, and we all came here and kind of melded into one big wonderful family. So it was a great progression for us. Probably one of the best things that ever happened to us was coming here.
Definitely, I would agree. Wouldn't you agree, Trav? Come to the mic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are you, Travis?
My name is Travis Ensign.
I like Ensign. It's way cooler.
I've been in athletics all my life. When I graduated high school and college, I had an opportunity to run a wireless internet company in South Texas. So when I moved down there, I was down there for 9 years. And I continued playing basketball like I had all my life. I played in multiple basketball leagues in Mexico and in South Texas. So it was 3, 4, 5 times a week, all the time after work, playing basketball 3-4 hours a night. Played a ton of golf, got into golf a lot. So always super active. Probably until about 2010, I was only I'm not a big guy now. I was probably only about 150 pounds there.
Gosh, that's so crazy to imagine. Could you imagine Travis 150 pounds?
So I've got the unfortunate pictures to show, this is not very impressive. That was definitely not impressive. And so it was, I had started a little side business in addition to what I was doing. I used that money to buy a bunch of home gym equipment. And for basically 6 months straight, I just worked out and drank protein shakes. And so I got to about 185 pounds.
I need this regimen.
Wasn't maybe the best 30 pounds I've ever put on in my life. But then I was there, and then I got an opportunity to come back to Houston and work for what was Hewlett-Packard. But I started working nights, and that was about 2.5 years, and just working 12-hour nights, 3 and 4 nights a week. And it was just killing my body. I wasn't playing basketball anymore, didn't know I wasn't playing golf anymore. And then, I was recovering a lot of times when I was home for that first, I would stay up for 36 hours on my last day. I would get off in the morning, stay up all day, and then go at night. I was just feeling terrible. So I had known about CrossFit for quite a long time. Me and a friend of mine, when I lived in South Texas, had looked it up back when I think it was the main site probably, and it was just a ton of videos of just people doing weird rope climbs. Had no clue what any of it was.
OG style.
Yeah, and so actually didn't start for a little bit because their website was all messed up, and it just always said that their schedule was always full. So I was like, well, I guess this is really popular. They don't have any openings for all their classes 5 days a week. Finally stopped in there. Talked to him, went to a Saturday morning community class, and actually was a partner with one of our other members here, Dave Barron, and it annihilated me. It was simple stuff. It was bar over burpees, it was kettlebell swings, it was air squats. It killed me. I hobbled out of there, called my wife Alicia on the way home. She said, "How do you feel?" She was out of town. I was like, "I feel terrible.
Mission accomplished.
I'll be back at 5 a.m. on Monday." And so I've been a 5 a.m. person ever since, and so I did my first open or several opens there, and then in the same fashion that Bruce was talking about, things kind of fell apart over there. We found Stonecutter that very next day. A whole lot of us came over at one time and never looked back.
Yeah, you 5 a.m.ers are a very special breed. Speaking of, where's your sidekick? Why isn't he here? He doesn't show up to fun things as well as class. Like, what? That was only a week. He had to come to 5 a.m. classes, and
well, he did come for 3 out of the 5 days that week.
that's unacceptable.
He's
that was money to give to Lone Survivor Foundation that he missed out on by only coming in 3 days.
It was somehow, maybe in a negative fashion, Mario keeps getting mentioned in these podcasts, but I don't know if it's just attention seeking or what. But he's getting what he's asking for.
Yeah. I know Bruce and I, we hang on the afternoons. So I can't do that 5 a.m. stuff. Huh, Bruce?
I have actually mad respect for anybody that can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning
and do this to themselves
and do this anything to themselves. I don't know how they do it. It's hard enough in the afternoon for us, but to do it in the morning is just crazy.
I mean, for me, it's just all about habit. Like, it was not easy getting up the first week of 5 a.m.s. Now I wake up at 4 o'clock to be here by 5 o'clock because we live so far away now.
Whose fault is that?
Well,
I have a fancy house out in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe 5 miles more north, I'll probably be closer to College Station. But it's just, it really is habit. My body is there now. When I try to work out, especially like when we do, maybe I had big reservations in the beginning about the open being on Saturdays versus Fridays, with just participation, all that kind of stuff. However, even though I necessarily didn't do all the workouts because, I was coordinating all that kind of stuff, my body felt much better then rather than sitting at a desk all day.
Yeah.
And most of those days I was out doing yard work and all that kind of stuff, and I was actually kind of beating myself up, but it was still better than sitting at a desk for 8, 9, 10 hours and then trying to do all that, which a lot of times is 8, 9, 10 hours, judge for 3 hours, and then do a toe touch and try to work out. So, so it was good, but my body does not normally, if it's 5 a.m. and then for some reason I got to go to a 5:30 p.m. or something like that. It's rough. So it's just, I think everybody kind of finds their place on where they feel most comfortable, especially over time. But the 5:30 p.m.s for me is just as hard as a lot of people going to a 5 a.m.
You're right. Yeah. Well, great. I think it's really awesome that just by chance that you two are the ones involved in our community involvement at Stonecutter came from Wrath, and I also came from Wrath, so I think it's kind of a cool little dynamic. We do have a lot of members here from Wrath, but the involvement with the community at Stonecutter is definitely a different one than I've ever been a part of. Other gyms have, everybody in CrossFit seems to be involved in doing something good for the community. Like, you could look all over Instagram, Facebook, not just Stonecutter, but all CrossFit gyms are at least trying to get involved somehow. So I've been to all sorts of events, diabetic events, firefighter events, all sorts of things to help benefit. And for a lot of people that can't give money, showing up and doing a workout just to pay their respects is a lot for a lot of people, right? And that's kind of how I started. But watching you guys get involved in raising your hand first and saying, hey, I want to be a part, I want to lead this thing, is kind of admirable, right? Not everybody wants to lead the team and asking people for money at the end of the day, right? So, Bruce, how did we get here? How did you decide you wanted to be the one to lead the charge with Travis? And I can give Justin a little credit, I suppose, but you two definitely have been the ones that stick out in my mind when I think of like good causes within Stonecutter.
It was a natural transition for me. I retired a couple of years ago, and I came from a corporate environment, so taking a leadership role for me was kind of easy,
right?
And it was natural for me. And I always, if it's an admirable and a good cause, then I'd love getting behind it, and I love pushing it to completion. And I take it as a challenge to be able to kind of muster all the forces and all the people behind you working in a similar goal. So that was just always natural for me to do.
And no matter the cause, you're always wanting to get involved? Or do you have special causes that are close to your heart? Typically people get involved in stuff that really affects them personally, right?
Yeah.
Or that they've been a part of within their family. Like the diabetic thing is really close to my heart since it saved, CrossFit saved
Right.
my mom's life from diabetes. But for you, is it something specific or just anything?
I don't have anything specifically, but the one thing that really touches my heart is anything having to do with, any of our hero watts,
Mm-hmm.
anything that honors our military heroes, that made ultimate sacrifice for us. That's something that I hold special in my heart and that I'll always get behind.
What's your favorite hero one?
Murph, no doubt.
For sure, right?
Gotta love Murph.
Is it a shame that I've never done Murph?
It is.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I've been there to support, but I've never physically done the workout.
Well, this year.
I don't know.
In a couple of months.
Coordinate, right?
In a couple of months.
Someone's got to take tickets and names. For you, Trav?
Luckily, there's a lot of weekends, a lot of vests, and a lot of pull-up bars all between now and then and even after. So I'm sure we could find a time for you to do that.
Yeah.
For me, some of it is very similar to Bruce. Like at work, and at other times, I have a leadership role, and so it is a natural transition. It's part of it is just being passionate about CrossFit. It's easy to be passionate about utilizing it to benefit some of these causes, especially the military. And some of it is I was thinking about this because we maybe talked a little about like the why, and I was trying to think why, because it wasn't just immediately evident to me. But I think some of it is that through, at least for me, like through everyday life, right? There's so much that you're not passionate about that you just have to do, and so much that's out of your control that you just you have to just roll with it. So anytime that you can combine those two things and really kind of have some direction in where that's going to go, and hopefully make it the most successful it can be. It's hard to pass those opportunities up. So I think that's where my hand raising a lot of times comes, just because it is that opportunity. And I mean, look, I don't know who said it, but I mean, it's sometimes hard to say if you're doing, if you're trying to help somebody, it's never probably 100% unselfish, right? I mean, you're doing, nobody does the great deed or the help out and just feels really crappy about it. They at least feel good. There's some self-fulfillment there.
Yeah, because what's the first thing people say when they go and help somebody? They're like, didn't that feel good?
Yeah.
You're like, wait, that's not why we're doing this.
Right. And but it's just it's a natural byproduct. And then you combine that with things like Murph or Hero Watts, to where, okay, now you're helping, you feel good about helping, you're getting other people to help, and then you go accomplish something that's huge, like running Murph or any of the other Hero Watts, or the marathon row we did last year, right? Those are all things that just all of that combination combined just makes it kind of hard to pass up anytime they come around.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I could add one more thing.
Of course. This is an open mic sesh, Bruce.
We're so fortunate to have, I guess, our owner and our coach, Josh, probably one of the most generous people that I know. And the fact that he openly supports and welcomes every opportunity to to use the gym and use fitness to be able to raise funds for charitable causes and contributions is a big thing for me, because if the owner and the head coach is willing to get behind those causes, then I'm right behind him in that effort too, as we have technical issues.
I don't know if it's technical as it is
Physical.
What'd you say?
Physical.
Yeah, right.
I can hold it.
Tell the people what's going on.
We have a
I guess I don't know if you would technically call it the boom or the mic stand.
I think it's called the boom.
The
right?
boom, yeah, that's all of my years in the movies.
In the booties?
The movies.
Oh,
The movies.
It's gonna stay? Let go of it. If it's easier for you guys to pass the mic back and forth, you can.
Nah, we might do that.
let's do that.
Just to take it out of the holster.
Well, that'd have been a good idea about 20 minutes ago.
Well, I was thinking about it. I was watching Bruce hold it.
No, but to continue on Bruce's point there too, that it does make that all of those events, or even the want to do those events, so much easier when you have a coach and an ownership that's behind it, not behind it and say, okay, well, go do whatever you want to, I'm fine, you have it here, whatever, but actually is behind it and is putting all of their efforts and resources behind getting it done too.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, right? It makes it easier for people that are like, why are we doing this? But if coach is doing it and it's like, oh, because a lot of people don't have military people. That's predominantly what we do here, right, is military. But a lot of people, we have a few members that have given a lot to the military, right?
You bet.
Justin Morrow, for example.
Mhm.
We love you, Justin. Ranger,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We have
We have,
Danny HPD,
Danny HPD, right? Houston Police Department.
Mike, who's also in he a sheriff,
Mike, who?
our new
Yeah,
member Mike.
he
Yeah.
trains K9 for Houston PD. My dad gave 23 years to the Air Force. Gavin and Gabe, the
Mhm.
brothers, the West, they did the military. I mean, the list goes on,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's helpful when the big leader in charge is like, yeah, this is, of course, like, what else would we do, right? Like, this is a natural progression for our gym. So I think it's awesome, even though I don't like the Silkies.
Oh, come on now. You don't like them on you don't like silkies in general. You don't like them on certain people. What exactly?
Well, here's the deal. Let me paint a picture.
You can't
for the
say
people.
no one has said they don't like silkies on Bruce. There's 0 people that have seen that and said I don't like that.
Don't put me on the spot like that about Bruce and his Silkies. No, the Silkies.
He has all the money to prove it.
Yeah, 2 years in a row, right? You had the most.
Listen, it does
Tell
2
the
years,
people, tell
5
the
years. If Bruce is in it, all the money is going to be over there. Let's just say that.
That's really what he's been working on. You know, everyone thinks he's going to the regionals and the games, but he's actually training for his Silky show every year.
Mostly a sympathy vote, I think.
No. I heard. I was in the crowd. Well, first, let's back up. What is the Silkies? Bruce.
Okay.
What's the Silky Showdown?
Real quick, the Silky Showdown is something that we did during the Open, and we waited until the last workout of the Open, which was 18.5 and 19.5. And what we did is to wear silky shorts, which was kind of in support of Justin Moreau, who was a Army Ranger and who wore those during all of his workouts. And we used to give him a lot of grief because they looked like a thong bikini. But he said, you can't criticize me until you put a pair on yourself. And the gauntlet was thrown down. There may have been a little bit of whiskey during that challenge at the time. And the idea was that we would have a Silkies contest, or wear Silkies for that workout, and then have a legs contest, and with all the funds going to the Lone Survivor Foundation. I think the first year we raised probably, I thought it was $230. And then this year we actually raised almost $330, which was wonderful.
So your legs are getting better is what you're saying.
I didn't
Or
want to
your
say it,
dance
but I'm not going to
moves.
disagree with you.
Yeah, so we have
It's like a
this-
fine wine.
Yeah,
Just
yes.
keeps getting better and better.
Yes, it is getting better and better. Bruce, especially with age. So we, I was in the crowd while you boys were on your boxes dancing in your silkies, and I overheard the ladies say that they've waited all year for this. So it's definitely not a sympathy vote, and it's definitely the ladies' favorite time of the Open.
The real key is that the ladies did not get the best show, because if you were standing behind Bruce during that time, you got the show.
Of what exactly?
I'm just going to leave it there. Listen, the next time this comes around, if you want the entire
backside?
package of what's going on, you need to be 360 around that show.
Okay.
Also, the only way anybody's going to beat Bruce is we have to have different categories. So maybe like longest legs, widest legs, skinniest legs. I'm not just saying that for any particular reason.
I was going.
Masters.
I was not prepared for that. I was thinking more like firefighter versus PD showdown on the Silkies, and then like a Ranger versus SEAL, or we can do Gavin versus
civilian category.
and then we'll have the Masters just win.
So I'll be 40. So
don't
that's
count.
technically could be the next Masters at the October one, right?
Yeah, we don't have to wait a whole another year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goody! I get to see you again in the Silkies in October.
Twice a year.
Wow, that is one lucky group of people.
I'll start doing some squats.
Yeah, because you don't do enough of those for sure. So we did the Silky Showdown, and then it's just kind of steamrolled into multiple things, right? Like we do the 9/11 workout, right, with the rope climbs, and I don't know what else. That's all I can remember on that workout because it killed me. And then what else do we do that we've already done this year that's been involved in the community?
We actually one weekend, was it last month? We did a workout that helped support the Klein wrestling team.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Remember,
that's right.
we did a
do
workout
that.
on the weekend, and the wrestling team came down with Bonnie's son.
Yep.
And actually, we did a WOD. I unfortunately was out of town, but they did a WOD, and they took collections and was able to get some financial support for those guys.
Yeah, for Klein Kane, that's the new high school, right? The wrestling team.
Right.
And we had a good show out for the wrestlers. I was really impressed by how many young kids on a Saturday wanted to show up and work out and get sweaty, and it was so fun to watch them, like watch little teenagers swing around like monkeys. I'm like, this is not exactly what that's used for, but it looks great because you guys are just having a bunch of fun, and we got to support them by doing the workout, and it was a pretty rigorous one. I can't quite remember. I know there was running involved. That's all. I have a bad memory, I think, on workouts.
Now, I think the next thing on the radar is our Murph event that's coming up.
Tell me about that.
It's going to be a wonderful event. It's a collaboration between Stonecutter CrossFit and another box over in Humble called Quest, and they're going to be able to donate the rig, and we're going to actually disassemble the rig and move it over to Klein Stadium and assemble it there. So we'll have a rig for all of the pull-ups.
I thought we were going to do like a modified version, so we didn't have to do all those pull-ups.
Such luck, and we're able to get the Klein Stadium rented, and that way we'll have a track, we'll have a rig, and we'll be able to have all the facilities that we need to accommodate what we think is going to be a pretty big crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are we going to have spectators pay? Like, what's the situation with the Murph? Why are we doing this, and what is Quest involvement in that?
Yeah, so the this year is hopefully the first of many years doing it this way. So we're going to be figuring out a lot of things as we go along this year. So there's going to be just a flat fee. If you want in, it's $20. Flat fee, $20. Whether you're participating, whether you're just there to watch, come, all that the $20. Everything outside of any large costs that might be going in that's all going to charity, right? And so Josh and Stonecutter has got the stadium together and doing all the insurance and all that kind of stuff, and Quest is donating the rig. Luckily, I think it was timed just right to where they were getting some new equipment in, so I think we're getting that, and then we're going to get it assembled and disassembled and then over to their box. So we're in any day now, so probably before this airs, we'll be posting again on the Facebook page, both for the event, Stonecutter page. We've got shirts ready to go, ready to order, so all the profits on those shirts are going to go to charity, so it's going to be really good. We're hoping to have 150 plus people between our box, Quest, and then anybody that's participating, and that's just the people, the athletes that are going to do it, not to mention any family and friends that want to come, and just or volunteers that want to help. We're going to have several vendors out there. We're gonna try to do it right from the beginning, and then keep having it grow and grow and grow. And I encourage anybody that wants to participate to come, because we'll be able to make it work for you or work for your pairing, or because we're gonna have you do it as a team. We'll have ring rows, do pull-ups. You can wear a vest, not wear a vest. I mean, it's Murph. The elite, right? The elite people, 30, 35 minutes. If you're at 50 minutes, you're a heck of an athlete. The rest of us are an hour, 55 minutes, an hour and 20, whatever it might be. But as long as you're not if you're prepared, you're not gonna hurt yourself. We're not gonna let you hurt yourself. Right. We're gonna make sure that you're doing what's appropriate for your skill level. There's not a whole lot of opportunities outside of going and doing Spartan races or something like that, to where you can go and just be continuously working hard for an hour.
Yeah, right. So you have we can do teams. Do they have to be pre-established before the Murph Challenge, or can we just show up with some friends and say, hey, we want to be a team? Or
so the registration portion of it should be live any day. I've got to get with Josh in the next couple of days to do all that. I believe we're going to be able to allow registration for the team, but at the very least, you just come and once you're there, sign up as a pair, because we'll be able to do heats. I think we'll be able to do single heats and then pair heats, right? So that way we can allocate the rig space and all that kind of stuff. The great part is, if you've ever done Murph, you got to have a place to run a mile. Yeah. That's not easy. It's not, it's never been easy in a parking lot. It's not, it's not always easy going down the street and crossing traffic. Is it a mile? Was it less than a mile? It always feels like a lot more than a mile to me. So, as much as I don't like running in a circle on a track traditionally, in this particular case, I think it's going to be great to just be able to hop off the rig, run around 4 times.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a family event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids can come and participate. I mean, I just want to kind of hit home, because a lot of people kind of misinterpret CrossFit in general, as well as like this kind of an event. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to hop in and you're going to get hurt, is the first answer, right? And you did say we're not going to let you get hurt. I mean, there's lots of concern about people overexerting themselves in the heat, right? So we're going to have trained level 1 professionals that are going to be out there monitoring everybody. We're not just going to put a group of 150 people out there and say, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. It's going to be controlled.
Absolutely. The same protocols that Josh uses here, whether you're doing a workout, whether it's in the open and people trying to do RX versus scaled. I mean, we're going to all have honest conversations with everyone. Where are you at in your fitness? What do you want to try to accomplish on that? Sure. Maybe this year is ring rows instead of no pull-ups, or no vest instead of a vest. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, for whatever reason, I accidentally did Murph the first time with a vest. There's not a whole lot of people that do that, right? And I never put a vest on. It was a janky little vest. It rubbed me raw the entire time because it moved around, but it happened to work out. But there's a lot of people that have run it 3-4 times that just haven't quite worked their way to a vest for one reason or another. It doesn't matter. If you do that with no vest and you go as hard as you can, that hurts, right? I mean, that's, when you do that workout to the best of your ability, it's like everything else in CrossFit. The person that finishes as hard as they can at 35 minutes and 60 minutes, they feel the same when they're done.
That's right.
And it would be probably a whole different podcast as far as does CrossFit hurt you and all that kind of stuff. But I can say I've been hurt 1,000 times more playing basketball and golf than I have, right, in CrossFit. So I mean, we're not going to let anything like that happen.
Right. Yeah.
And the other thing I'd add, we got to keep in mind that we don't want to lose sight that this is about honoring Mike Murphy.
I was just about to say that.
The Navy SEAL that made the ultimate sacrifice and trying to save his team on a mission, and unfortunately he paid the ultimate price. And we just got to remember that that's why we're out there. I mean, also, you know, we're coming together as a community. We're doing a workout. We're becoming more fit, but this was his favorite workout, and we just got to remember when it gets really ugly in the workout, it wasn't near as close to what he went through. The other thing that we're going to do is, you know, we've got a lot of vendors that have lined up to support our mission here. We're going to have an auction for certain products and services. For massages and cryo and other things like that, so we'll be able to get contributions for auctions on that, and then ultimately all of the proceeds are going to go to the Lone Survivor Foundation, which is the best thing of all.
That's awesome. That's the greatest thing we could ever do. And you know, people get all hung up on this scaled, and I don't want to do. And you're right, Bruce. At the end of the day, we're there honoring somebody. We're having fun. This is not the time to prove to people that you're more fit than your friend, or more fit, or you've been training all year. Like, yes, right, we do train every single day, but this is not the event to like prove to everybody that you're going to be the next games athlete or that you're fitter than you were last year. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish people would just be okay. Like, I've never done it. I probably am going to do ring rows, and everybody's like going to look at me, why are you doing ring rows, right? Like, I have no shame in that. I've been very clear about that.
And that's
from the
perfectly
beginning.
fine.
You know what I mean?
That's
I think it's
perfectly
awesome
fine.
to honor somebody and participate in an event that's going to give all the proceeds to a Lone Survivor. Lone Star.
Mm-hmm.
That's a college in Houston. But you know what I mean? I want people to be hit home on that. That's not the idea, right?
Exactly.
Well, I'm excited for you guys. Congratulations on honing that in, because everybody thinks, Justin, again, comes up with the idea. What about the worms? Are we having worms or what? No, look at their faces.
So yes, if we're
bringing the worms.
If you've been at the gym, now the caveat is we have a worm, and you know where it's at because it hasn't moved. It hasn't moved because one of our teammates has been absent quite a bit in the year 2019. Again, Justin Morrow. But the plan
the man with great ideas that doesn't show up.
The plan right now is what the plan was is a 1 mile walk with that worm.
You're gonna do the mile with a worm,
and then you do the 100 pull-ups with the vest. We're not gonna have the vest on there, I don't believe. Then the 100 pull-ups with the vest, the 200 push-ups with the vest, 300 squats as a team with the worm.
No, come on.
And then a mile with the worm. So the only thing we don't know yet, because it may not be feasible, is to do it that day, because there's going to be a lot of coordination going on. I might also die like after that's over, so I won't be
happen. We have professionals watching to make sure. Let's make this note: these men are crazy, and they do lots of crazy things.
Yes.
This is not everybody. Everybody's not going to do the worm. These are just these 4 guys like to talk a lot of crap to one another,
and then all of a sudden hold ourselves to it,
and
which is not good.
To it. Yeah.
There may be a ladies team.
Yes, and if there is, they're probably going to beat us.
The ladies
Justin Morrow.
The ladies always win. Let's be honest, because we know how to hurt.
You have a good relationship with pain.
Yeah.
But it is going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to doing it in a venue like that. There's not a whole lot of opportunities for anybody to ever work out, outside of their CrossFit box, or maybe, at a local competition that ends up being in just a parking lot, or just somebody else's gym that's just as big or small as your gym. So
same tin can.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said to to doing this in a venue like that, outdoors. Having the track and having a soft rubber track under your feet versus the uneven pavement or something like that. So I'm really looking forward to see what happens with it this year, and then being able to just whatever this year is, it's going to be fivefold probably next year, right?
For sure, right? You learn about the things that we didn't do as well that we could always do better. So I think that's awesome. If somebody wants to get involved as far as sponsorships, donating their services, volunteering, cheering you on, making a poster about how much we love Travis's beard blowing in the wind for his mile run, how do we do that?
You contact Bruce Boyd.
Okay.
Or the Beard.
Or the Beard. Does the Beard have an Instagram?
Beard does have an Instagram.
But the old man does
The
not.
Beard by itself doesn't have an Instagram. It should though.
You're okay. We're gonna talk about that in a second. Bruce Boyd.
But
how do
the
we
old man
contact you?
does not.
The old man doesn't have Instagram, so how do
He
we get
do-
a hold of him?
He has Messenger, he has email, and he has Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm
email
at the
address?
box every day.
At the box every day.
Find
Okay.
me.
Yes, Bruce is here every day, 2:30 to till they die, 7:00 sometimes. I come in and they're dragging, they're still here.
And I'm also here for 2.5 hours from 5 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. So just drag yourself in here and we can have any kind of talk you want to.
I think I'm in my bed most of that time. I get out at 6:45. Don't tell my boss. What if we don't work out at Stonecutter and we don't see your shiny faces at the gym? How else can we? He has email. Bruce has email, but we don't know what his email address
Right.
is.
So we do have the Stonecutter Facebook page, and we have created an event for this Murph event too.
There's
So
an event on Facebook?
there
Like
is
an official? It's official.
official.
It's official.
It's out there.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you just search for it, you're gonna find it.
Okay.
It's ready to go ahead and start taking.
Yes, the Facebook page is there. It's got some information now. Within the next few days, we'll release the I believe Eventbrite is what we're gonna use to take all the registrations and the heats. So we'll have that, and then we'll have a separate link that is going to be for ordering the shirts.
Ooh, yeah. What do the shirts look like?
They
Do
are
the people-
fantastic.
Of course they are. Who designed them?
My lovely wife Alicia.
Oh, tell me what they look like. I'm excited. I love shirts. Can we get tank tops? Do you have it?
I can show you.
Show me. This is the beauty of a podcast. No one
Here
else
it goes.
can see it.
We have an early showing, a premiere.
Preview. Oh
Preview.
boy. She's so good at shirts. You know what I was thinking? I have so many event shirts. I could make a quilt out of them. Wouldn't that be pretty cool?
Dave Barron just did that, I believe.
Oh, he did? Oh, with all his, because Dave Barron is a world traveler. Dave Barron's another member at our gym, and he travels for work. He's a lawyer, and he he makes it an effort to go to every box at whatever state he's in and country, right? Sure. And he buys a shirt. So he has all these shirts. He's made a quilt. That's cool. Although I've noticed he didn't make a quilt with his Mayhem shirt. He still wears it. It's a special shirt.
Sorry, I was going to take a second to...
I tell you what, as a filler.
Oh. I just got the goosies.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Do they have tank tops?
I believe we'd have to ask Rooch.
Oh, Roosh. Good old Roosh, Warden from BSN. Mm-hmm. Nice. I think they do, because that's how we got the other shirts for the Open. Oh, man, I'm excited.
That's the other bonus of having events is creating shirts.
Yeah. And I forgot what I was going to say. I just blanked. Shirts. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of shirts, guys, Stonecutter family out there, I like creating shirts. Alicia likes creating shirts. I hear a lot of people say they want shirts. Order the shirts.
Oh, busted. That's true, huh? Because we had, although that was last year, wasn't it? The last order of Stonecutter paraphernalia.
We've had.
Oh, the Open. That's right.
We've had last year's Murph shirt. We've had regular Stonecutter apparel. We've had this year's Open. We're having this year's. Someone else did Mannion. Those were from the foundation, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So look, we're gonna continue. We're working with Rooch to have more of a continuous store out there that will kind of cycle,
They
and we'll
can do
have
that?
yes. And so as long as we order stuff, right?
So it's like Amazon. I
Exactly.
Can
so
order a shirt anytime I want.
we can order the shirt, and I think it'll be in cycles to where I don't think it'll be delivered in 2 days, but it'll be a cycle. We'll close the store, ship, and then we'll open up a new cycle. And we'll have different logos, different apparel, hats, whatever it might be. But we got to order that stuff.
Well, yeah, we need like people to buy stuff. Imagine that.
And we have other events coming up this year, and we'll probably create some special shirts for that. So
tell the people what they want to hear.
Right. So another big one that's coming up again this September, I believe, is we're going to do the marathon row again. And so those of you that may or may not have been around last year, we had a group of 12?
Crazy,
I think.
12 people.
Yeah, do marathon row. So that was anywhere from about 3 hours and 10 minutes to 3 hours and 40 minutes of fun. It is a fantastic challenge.
We should get people to pledge this time.
We're going to do that. Absolutely. Yes.
Like go find people and be like, don't tell them we've done it before. Like how many meters we've rowed. Be like, I'll row as many meters, whatever. And then donate it.
Yep. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be in September. There will be some prereqs for that just to show that you have done enough rowing and you're coming to class and you're going to be prepared for that, because if you're prepared for it, it's not terrible, especially if you're just trying to hit that like 3 hour 30 mark, maybe 3 hour 20 mark. I personally felt fine the next day. Like I've been much more sore and beat up by just a workout on a Tuesday morning than I was for that. Now,
did somebody do a half marathon?
So,
or no?
I think we're sticking to the standard of that.
All right, I like holding standards.
Yeah. And then it's not official yet. I've been talking to Randy. I've been talking to Josh, trying to figure it out if we can find the right calls at the right time. The rest of this year is kind of difficult because we have that again. And then we have the Open again in October, right? So that, for those of you who may not know, this special year of the way they've transitioned the regionals and the CrossFit games to different times and how you qualify, we're having what would be the Open for the 2020 season in this October, and that's the new time for it every year. So it'll no longer be in February, March. So we have that coming up again. So somewhere before or after, I'm floating the idea, if we find the right calls and get a lot of people involved in it, of having 24 hours worth of WODs that you can get pledges for and participate in.
Look at Bruce.
And
Bruce has a bedtime of 8 o'clock.
and so,
I don't know if he can do this.
So you don't have to compete in 24. You can compete in 2. You can compete in 4. You can compete in, but it's the old skip-a-thons and jump hops or whatever they were called when we were in kindergarten. It's like, will you pledge $5 for every workout I do or whatever it is? And then you come and get those done. And they would be all different types of workout, different types of length. You'd have enough time to recover from one or the other if you wanted to try to do 24 hours straight. Get a lot of people in there. You can have WODs. You can have scaled WODs that anybody coming off the street could do. I floated this by Randy. Randy's up for anything extreme. So I have him behind me on that. So if we can find the right time and the right calls, I think it would be a lot of fun.
Man,
He's just talking crazy.
Bruce says, "Give me that mic back. We're not telling the people that stuff. That's just an idea, folks. There's nothing in pen and paper on that one. But that is a good idea. I like it because."
Yes.
I was talking to Randy, he's a special guy, and he's very extreme, and we kind of had to have a little talk about that the other day about, dial back the extreme a little bit. The burpee mile, like why?
Yeah, that's crazy. I can do workouts all day long, but
put the money behind it to go to the Lone Survivor Foundation, and you're like, oh, okay.
Absolutely.
See?
That's right.
We'll do burpees for a mile.
It all depends on who else is doing it, and if I have to do it faster than them or more than them or whatever it might be, right?
No, for anybody, the burpee mile, I keep referencing, I probably should tell you, they did it on a track, and they did broad jumps. So they did a burpee, a broad jump, a burpee, a broad jump. So the broad jump was what was eating up the mile, and they did a burpee every time they stopped. I think it took them like something crazy, like 4 hours or something for some of them. Randy even said was it Randy? Or was it Jen? That was continue. It's so awful. But then Klein High School kids were out like during the summertime for football and started cheering for them at the very end. And she said it was exhilarating to there was even some guys that were like getting down and doing burpees with her on the track and then like keep going. So it was like I gotta finish now. All these kids are watching, you know, but that's insane.
Yeah. And ultimately, really what it's all about in the end is I like trying to find ways throughout the year that whether it's a smaller group because it may be a little bit more extreme, or a larger group for something like Murph or anything else that we can do, or the Open, to get as many people involved in the community as possible, doing things that we like CrossFit, also getting outside that box a little bit and just going and doing other sports. We're going to start working on that and get, doing things that, you're supposed to do CrossFit to enhance the rest of your life, right? So, but CrossFit, part of fitness, the definition of fitness is playing other sports. And so a lot of times CrossFitters fall into this category of, no, that's my sport. That's all we do. You need to be able to throw a baseball. You need to be able to hit a golf ball. You need to be able to throw a Frisbee. You need whatever it might be. So we're going to play some kickball, so we're going to work on that kind of stuff. But just as many things as we can do to get together as a group outside of the gym possibly, and just have fun, and maybe it's CrossFit related, maybe it's fitness related, maybe it's not, and just use the relationships that we have outside. That's been the one of the biggest questions I get is, why do you do CrossFit, or why so early, or whatever it is. Like, I have a full-time job. I have a wife and kids. 5 a.m. I can do all of my fitness work and they're still asleep, right? And then because you're so busy, I don't have time to go and hang out somewhere else and work out. I need to be able to work out and hang out with people. So that's hard. You're not doing that at 24-hour fitness or anything like that. So that's the biggest piece that kept me that kept me in it, especially in the beginning, and especially when we did that transition from Wrath to here. I kept things going for a long time just so I didn't lose friends to 5-10 other boxes that would maybe be more convenient for them or whatever, because they were staying there for that community. And luckily we were able to bring a lot of that community here, and we found an even bigger and better community to incorporate that in. So that's all a big piece.
Totally. Did you guys watch the Brute showdown with the different athletes? Speaking on
yes.
How fascinating. Okay, Bruce. So Brute Strength did a weekend kind of trial. He's talking about CrossFit needs to make sure that we can do other things, and he wants to have us participate, which kickball is my jam, by the way. I just can't catch the ball. Don't put me in the outfield. Anyways, they had Brooke Ince, the CrossFitter. They had Maddie Rogers, the Olympic weightlifter. They had Mattie with T's. She's the power lifter for the U.S. team. And then Dana Lynn Bailey. She's a bodybuilder, a really famous bodybuilder. Masters, technically, right? And they had them run through a workout in each of their realms. And then they had them do additional stuff, one of which was the NFL Combine kind of test, the T-test, the 40, the high
jump.
Yeah, all that. And who do you think won after all that? They did that. They did a 40-yard sprint. They did max clean. Did they jerk? No, they didn't jerk. They just cleaned. Max clean, max deadlift, a pose off, like bodybuilding posing. Speed of eating a watermelon quartered out, like a mini watermelon was quartered.
The guys did not do it.
No, they did a burger. Burger and fries and a beer, I think. Oddly, they gave a woman watermelon. Anyways, what else did they do? I think that's it, isn't it? Like the T-test where you start in the middle, or you start on one line, you run to the next line, run back, and run through.
Yes. That's
like a 30-yard dash or something, or shorter than that probably.
Yeah, but it's 4 turns. So.
Oh, they batted, right? They batted 6 pitches. Anyways, who do you think won?
So did Maddie win?
I don't know. Is that who you think won?
That's my guess.
Maddie Rogers or the power lifter?
The power lifter.
She did not.
She did not.
No.
Who?
Brooke Ince.
You're kidding.
Of course, because we're training for functional fitness. That's his point. I thought that was so cool to watch. Maddie Rogers killed it, by the way. I'm a Maddie Rogers fan, obviously. But her in the combine, the NFL combine, they stacked her. I read an article. They stacked her against, this year's NFL combine athletes. And she ranked, in the top half based on her numbers. Wow. And the girl doesn't even train on the NFL Combine stuff.
Yeah.
Those guys train for that. Like her broad jump and her high jump. Oh my God! Right, fast twitch muscles. It was insane. Anyways,
Amazing.
so we could do that. We could do kickball, dodgeball. No, I don't do dodgeball very well. I turn into like.
Speaking of another event that we've got coming up, is it in December? The
Man, you guys.
snow drop.
My calendar's booked. I don't know about y'all, but.
Which is a endurance test from hell.
Which is?
It's the snowdrop, 55-hour marathon run.
Can you
Josh,
run for 55 hours?
I physically, I don't know if anybody actually did that. I just don't know that the body.
There are those that do. I don't know if anyone did it.
I didn't see anybody at this particular race do that.
I think, doesn't Doc, did you see Doc while you were there?
Mm-mm.
Doc, he's a doctor, a retired doctor. He's 83 years old, and he does it every year. And I think that I overheard, I don't know, I can verify with Randy, but he does his little shuffle, right? He slept for 2 hours.
Wow.
Is that not insane? The man doesn't train for anything, and he just goes out there for 55 hours. I would die. Even if I shuffled for 55 hours, I would be so miserable.
Yeah, there was. I was so impressed with the mental toughness it takes to get through that, and I mean this is it's a charitable foundation for childhood cancer, and it's a wonderful cause. But you literally you run for 55 hours. Now, obviously, you're not going to be running for 55.
Sure.
You have to rest. You have to eat. You can walk. But the idea is to accumulate, as many miles as you can. And we had two of our guys, obviously Josh and Randy, did that last year, and they did wonderful.
Randy got a belt buckle. 115 miles.
115 miles, which was
insane?
just incredible.
I think Josh, 80-something? 87. Crested 87, I think.
Yeah, so we've got some
year?
more crazy guys that actually
boy.
showed they're going to sign up, and this is one of them.
You're doing it?
Yeah, so
Travis!
listen, Randy catches me in the gym for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I'm signing up for 100-mile races. So
You're doing a 100-mile race too?
Well, no, so I'm doing that. My goal, like Josh's, is 100 last year. Yeah, individual.
Oh boy.
I mean, I ran my first actual race this year. That was a 15K. That's the farthest I've ever ran at one clip. So I'm ready.
But yes.
So I'm ready.
But so ready. Travis, you do Spartan races.
I do.
So you're kind of crazy already.
Yes.
So you're kind of set for this 55-hour business. I think there's no mud, no obstacles.
No, I think as long as you never know what the weather's going to be like.
Last year was pretty wet.
Cold and rainy.
Yeah.
But it can't be. The worst Spartan we've had was 2 beasts ago when Dave and I did the Dallas Spartan there, and it was 39 degrees, I think, when we started, and within a mile and a half we had to be completely submerged in the water, so it was cold. And then we went in the water about another 15 times during that race. And then this last year was extremely muddy. I cramped up very bad at the end of that one, but we made it through. We still beat our previous year by an hour, with both of us kind of cramping up with all the mud. And then we've got 3 more Spartans that we're doing this year. We're going to do and I encourage anybody that wants to come out and run, especially the sprint in June. So
what exactly is a sprint?
So the sprint, they have multiple sprints. They have a lot of outdoor sprints, just like we have the super. So the sprint is 3 to 4 miles, Spartan miles, right? So you never know how long it's going to be, somewhere between 3 and 4.
There's no definitive number? What do you mean Spartan mile?
Nah, it's called a Spartan mile. It might be, you sign up for a race, it's 12 miles. It might be closer to 13 or 14, right?
Oh,
that's just the way it is.
Switch. That's not really like...
So the closest sprint was here in Houston. They've moved it outside of Houston a little bit because it was getting rained out all the time, and it still gets rained out. It's muddy. It's a muddy mess. So we don't do that one anymore. So we do a more fun sprint, and that's inside of Cowboy Stadium in June.
Ooh.
It's fantastic. It's somewhat air conditioned, right? It's definitely no hotter than you'd ever be in the gym here. Music playing all the time. It's much more very close to just a long CrossFit WOD. There's box jumps, there's slam balls, there's rope climbs, there's burpees. There, if you miss something, there is.
Wait. Burpees are a punishment.
Every
obstacle
on the Spartan stadium sprints. Luckily, your penalty is only 15 burpees if you miss an obstacle. On all other races, it's 30.
Yeah, I don't know about these Spartan races, Bruce.
But they are a lot of fun. They are another opportunity to kind of get out and do something, because still a lot of those obstacles, you just don't have the equipment or, capacity to do those in a normal CrossFit setting.
But there's no mud in these stadiums, right?
In the stadium sprint, they're not getting the Cowboy. You're on the field at Cowboy Stadium. They're not putting any mud there. You're going to be fine. You get to throw a spear, you get to climb ropes, you get to pull sandbags up a rope, you get to go up and down all the stadium stairs, you get to see yourself on the big jumbotron. I mean, It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I feel like that would be like the greatest scenario in order to get me to do a Spartan race. No mud, air conditioned, inside.
So everyone should go and sign up for that Spartan race. We have the Stonecutter team on all of these, but all you have to do when you go through it, you just look for Stonecutter. You can sign up and be a part of the team. We'll all start at relatively the same time. And then just stay the night in Dallas. Have a lot of fun that night.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So that's your training session for the snowdrop.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing is that the Open is in October this year, so we'll be done with that. Instead of preparing for an Open in February, you'll be done, and we'll just concentrate on running for the next month and a half and run a couple of 2Ks, and we'll be ready for 100-plus miles.
2Ks. You can pull what Randy does, and Randy doesn't train for his marathons or his snowdrop, and he does train, right? He comes to CrossFit every day and does strong fit. That's it.
Yep.
He's not pounding the pavement at all. I was like, if I was to be a marathon runner, that's the way I would do it, because I just couldn't imagine. He said some guys train like 25 miles a week.
I don't like to run.
I don't either. Like, it's just, I think it's because it's boring. I don't think it's because I don't like it. I think it's because it's boring.
And the other thing about snowdrop is you can actually, you can put together a team as well. If you don't want to take on the full 55 hours as an individual, you can put together up to 10 members on the team to have a relay. And then you just take turns going out on the track, running for an hour or however in increments that you want to bite off. And then you go rest, you go eat, and come back and do it again in another couple
Stonecutter
hours.
has a team?
They do.
Really?
They do. So if you're interested in getting in on that team, talk to Melanie Wilson. Yes.
Okay.
And
she two Mels now, So
yes, talk to Josh's wife, and she can give you more details of whether the team's close. Well, I'm certain that there are. I'm just not sure how many.
Okay, awesome. And
that's for the snowdrop.
That's to benefit
childhood cancer. Yeah, it's a great.
Yeah, that's a great cause. When I was there watching the host, I guess you could call him, the guy that's on the microphone at the finish line that's there for 55 hours. He personally knows Rachel. I think it's the little girl's name that passed. He knew her, and he is about to embark on some crazy mile 55 whatever out in Antarctica.
Wow.
The man is going to Antarctica and running. He has like one person with him that's going to facilitate to make sure he doesn't die, and doing something crazy. I mean, he's been training in like stand-up freezers and stuff. Could you imagine?
Crazy
Like
respect.
what personal things do to encourage you to do something that in your wildest dreams you'd always say, oh, I'm never going to do that. But the minute you're affected personally by something, or the minute you have like an interest in something, you're like, sure, let's do it. Right?
Yeah, it's just something that it's really hard to train for. It's not like you can go out and you can just run for 55 hours. I mean, it's just something you have to accumulate the miles on your body and then learn to overcome the pain.
Yeah. Well, and like Randy said yesterday, we were talking about the snowdrop, and he was talking about, it's painful, but there's nothing more painful than looking at this. Have you been to snowdrop, Travis?
Yeah.
No, so I was out of town last year, but I had that same conversation with Randy about just a track, lined with signs of pictures of all these kids that have been affected, and or they're either passed or they need help now. And I mean, if that doesn't encourage you to just keep going when you just even if you're just walking or whatever it is, and to not only keep going but really think about what it's actually for and what you're actually doing and what your entry fee is actually doing there.
Yeah, it's not a race,
right? And so all of us, I'm sure, will do it closer to the race, but the other goal when you sign up is to raise money. So both the team and the individuals will most likely be posting out on Facebook and asking friends and families, like, look, this is my goal. This is what we're trying to do. Would you like to help by donating something to it?
Right.
And so that's the ask of all of the participants or the people, the volunteers that are going to be there, is to help raise money as a whole for that cause.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. I mean, when I was there, I was like, I think my eyes are winking. I don't know what's happening because I just can't even imagine being a parent or having to go through that. And I'm like, I don't know how these people are running for 55 hours. And then I walk out there and I'm like, oh, I see it. Like, I could totally, when Randy had to grab that sign and come around and move a sign because they wanted more signs by the finish line. So, I mean, the track's only like 0.69 miles or something. So you run it a lot. He was like, bring more signs. So here comes Randy with his sign. I'm just like, oh my God. Could you imagine like running, like picking up a new sign every lap or something and taking the kid for a run, basically, right? Like, that's super awesome.
And that's that's really why we participate or we put on or you see all of these type of events go on, because there's so many things, so many causes, so many people that need help. It's hard for the normal person to just think about that every day. You can't, you can't. So you end up having to have, needing and having these events to just bring your attention for that, for that short amount of time, or possibly even your attention a little bit more if you have to train for that type of thing. It just brings it to the forefront of your brain a little bit. I mean, because especially if you're not impacted, right? And when you're just, it's one thing, you have to find those ways, and that's why we have, when we have Murph, or we do something for the last event of the CrossFit Open, at least for that small amount of time, kind of pushing some other things to the side and just thinking about just something else for that moment.
Yeah, it definitely puts, I think, life into perspective, right? Like, we always get so caught up. I'm reading a book right now by Logan Gelbrick on going right and making sure that your dreams become a logical justification. And we always get so caught up in thinking like life is work and raising kids, and it is, but there's also like we're forgetting to make that choice to really invest in our life. And if that's important to you, then why are we not doing it? Why are we not thinking about it, right? Like, some people have to do that every day, not by choice, but because it's affected them. When we live our life every day, like, just making the jump and getting involved, I think is a great start to actually living your life out, right? Like, I feel like we talked about earlier, like your little small self-satisfaction of feeling great about your life because you're actually helping people that need it, that can't help themselves, or they don't have the means or the time, or their body can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane how people literally just wake up, go to work, go home, eat dinner, and go to bed. I don't know how people do that anymore.
For me, it's the other thing is I never want to lose sight of the fact on how lucky we are.
Yeah,
how blessed we are to be able to come in here every day and do what we do. And admittedly, a lot of what we do is very difficult. A lot of people, I know when my dad comes and watches during the Open, he just sits there and shakes his head and says, why are you doing this? This is insane.
What a man he is.
And, I feel so lucky that, at my age, or just at any age, that we're able to do that, and we have our health. We're blessed with that, and CrossFit community and whoever else you can touch, to never lose sight of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Be thankful for what you have, and that we're able to come in here and bond as a community, and we have friends that we can lean on and that support in what we do. And that we're able to come in here and do these workouts and
because I don't think there's a shadow of a doubt that if a member comes down with something, that our community would like instantaneously come together and do something to help, right?
Yeah,
we do
absolutely.
That with, like, new life when babies are born, right? We just had a new baby added to the big family, right? So I think speaks a lot about the character of the members at our gym. I don't think that our gym is like every other gym, right? I think our gym is very special in the fact that we have our core values, and that the type of character of member we have is definitely one that's looking to be involved, looking to be invested in others, looking to help. Yeah, like
Right.
everyone's always like, can I help you? How can I help you? Is there something you need? Right? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why places like Stonecutter are the way they are, right? And not all CrossFit boxes or organizations are like this. Some are good, some are bad, some are better than others. So we live in a world now where everything is huge. It's vast, right? Human beings did not. This is the last 50 years that the most of the people you see during the day, you don't know who they are, right? That makes, even if you're alone in a sea of people, because the most of the time you don't know who they are. So you combat that. You can have communities, you have church communities or whatever it might be, but now a good CrossFit community is now somewhere where you have a smaller group, like anything past 70 years ago, where you lived in a small community and you knew everybody that was in your town or whatever. So now you have a smaller group of 200 people where you at least recognize the face if you don't know their name or know something more about them. And it's an entire group of people that when it hits the fan, that you're going to be able to depend on.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly.
It's like our little congregation.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. It's hard to explain to somebody, though, that's never been to a CrossFit gym, or somebody that's been to a bad CrossFit gym, and then you're like, but wait, give us a chance, like, we're always willing to take more in, but you got to convince somebody. And I always find that to be the biggest feat. I'm like, if you could just come and experience it, there's no words that can put it into a perspective, I don't think.
And like Josh said in your first podcast, unfortunately, it's not for everyone,
Right,
and it's
of
not for
course.
everyone for different reasons, right? Just there's nothing out there that's for everyone. You can't make everybody happy all the time. That's what we learned from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
But the people that are looking for a specific thing and are willing to work for it and be a part of something bigger, that's where CrossFit can come in, and that's where, in particular, CrossFit Stonecutter can come in.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think you guys are excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are very much inspiring for a lot of people, whether you know it or not. I was told the other day that I could be perceived as I disregard others because I am more of a listener than I am a talker. And this is a very edge to my edge by being a talker and a host, right? And I say it's because I like to listen to others talk, and I like to observe, and I stew, as my mother calls it, percolating. So I listen to a lot of people, and a lot of people in the community talk very highly of both of you, and I want you both to know how much effect you have on people's lives, right? You come from two very different dynamics, right? Bruce is, as we love you, the older group, right? There's very few of you, my dad, Josh's parents, I think that's it, right? 50 plus is what I'm talking. Travis like, include me. You're just 40, man. Like, you're still.
But Bruce is who I want to be when I grow up. So.
We all want to be Bruce when we grow up. And very fit. And then Travis, you're still young. You have young kids. You're married. You're a full-time worker. Bruce, you're retired, right?
Yes.
But it's amazing to see the impact that you guys have. You're here only in the morning for 2 hours. You're here in the evening time, not towards the late, but morning people don't see you. And still, you guys both have a presence in our community. And I think that's really important to recognize, and for you guys to be aware that people are watching and they are listening, and that you are inspiring, whether you want to admit it or not. We have a hard time admitting that we have an impact on people, right? So thanks for being those people in our gym, and men, vulnerable men who are willing to stand up and say that it's okay to fail, right? We watch, I can't express, I wish more people were there. I know you're like super embarrassed and don't want more people there, but there's more to be said watching you in 19.5 just leave it all out there and soak in your glory. I thought that was how it was perceived for me, but I know for you it was very disappointing of a performance, right? Cramping up, not being able to finish. I know for you it was very disappointing, but I think more people need to see that. Same with you, Travis. Like, you're always posting online about like the feats you're overcoming, your overhead mobility. Like, what man is going to admit that they have overhead mobility issues? Like, none.
Yeah, it's weird, and I've made the joke, but it's true before is, there was a time before CrossFit that if I was walking into like a 24-hour fitness or a Gold Gym, if I walked in and I saw some dude working out and he's like doing bicep curls, like, God dang, I wish my biceps looked like that. And now I walk into the CrossFit gym and I see some 110-pound girl, like, man, I wish they had their shoulder mobility. That's really awesome. I could do a lot with that shoulder mobility.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to be aware of and to be told that. So thanks for you two for standing up and doing that.
Well, I do want to say that I think I got you in your beginning stages of CrossFit at Rath, right? That was your first, right? Mm-hmm. And I judged you probably on all, if not most of all, your very first CrossFit Open. Uh-huh. There was a lot of jumping pull-ups and you weren't happy doing those. You did not want to do them.
No, because it's not sexy, Travis. Nobody likes that.
And you were afraid to fail on those workouts, and we came up with a plan in the beginning of either one of those, and we said you were only going to rest for 3 seconds, whatever it is, and I'd yell at you and go 3, 2, 1, and you start back over. And now in the last year, like, your fitness level is through the roof. Your commitment to it is through the roof. And even more so, I think, like you were saying earlier, is, and I don't know if it's a byproduct of that or just being at the gym more, or just changes in evolution, but you're much more outgoing than you were 3 years ago, right? And doing something like a podcast, that's huge, right? So yeah. I would like to commend you on how far you've come from that very first Open to this last one.
Thank you.
And I second that. I can't tell you how inspired I am by you. You have come so far from the Rath days to now. Like Travis said, your confidence, your dedication, your ability to set goals, and now that you've got some inspired coaching, the sky's the limit for you, sweetheart.
Yeah,
I mean, you're just so inspiring for me.
Thanks. I just came to a moment in my life when I was like, what are we doing all this for? Corporate America. Mm-hmm. I love my corporation, right? You guys know I bleed the green, but at the end of the day, I'm wasting every day doing something I'm not totally passionate about. Like, I can't even, you might be right. It could be evolution. It could be inspiring coaching. I think it's a combination of it all. Getting older, right? Like, I was fresh. Yeah, I know I'm getting super old. I'm almost 30. Don't tell anybody. I think it's a combination of it all. But ultimately, I think I just realized I'm wasting time by not doing something I absolutely am so excited to get out of bed every day. I don't sleep in anymore. Like, wow. Thank you, Bruce. Huge. I know. I may take naps, but that's because I'm totally utilizing every minute of my day. But, like that Sunday lull of like, oh, God, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. Like, I didn't want to do that anymore. And so jumping in head first in the deep end and saying, I'm doing it. I'm going to freaking do it. And I'm going to be the best at it, right? So, but it goes back to you guys and stepping up and showing that it is possible, that any everyday person can do it. So thanks, guys.
We're proud of you.
Thank you. I like to finish our podcast. I've done this with everybody, and it's going to steamroll into the next. Leave a question for the next person. Randy left y'all questions, and you can put them together, or you can do whatever you want with it. And then we're going to do a moment of gratitude. Okay? And then I'll let you know who your guest is, that my next guest, and then you guys can have a question if you want to collaborate on it or if you want to do individual. So Randy said, for you, Bruce, what is your recommendation to people now in their lives that see you retired, successful, dedicated to fitness? How do we get there? How do we stay focused on making sure we do all the right things to be Bruce when we grow up? That was his question. And to Travis, your question was, are you going to continue doing Spartan races and being involved in fitness since you have young kids and a wife and a job? How do you balance it all? And how does someone who's never been in CrossFit look at you and say, well, if he can do it, I can do it? Those are the two questions for the both of you.
That's a good question, Randy. The genesis for me, as like I said, I've always been physically fit to some level, but when when Cheryl kind of hit her stride, and it was clear that she was going to be an elite masters athlete, that was inspiring for me. And I know when we started training for the Open earlier last year, I made the commitment to, I knew I wasn't going to the Open, but at the very least I could be supportive and do the workouts so she has somebody to do them with, because it sucks doing them by yourself.
Mr. Supportive. That's
So,
how it always starts.
and at the very least, by doing that, she has somebody to do it with, and that I can only get better if I do that. So having the ability, the luxury of having been retired, this is the highlight of my day. I get to come here with my wife and see my best friends and spend time with them. It's the highlight of my day, and be able to work hard with my wife and enjoy that time, even though I'm sure she's ready for me to get another job and get out of the house.
And another house? You already have two.
Get out of the house.
Oh, get out of the house.
Get out of the house.
Oh.
But that combined with the fact that, when you start getting my age, you really need to have a good coach like Josh.
Yeah.
To be able to help you work through, because you're going to have some injuries at some time or the other, and shoulder mobility and things that you have to work around. And Josh has been so good for me as being able to work around some of my limitations, to where I can get stronger and find some ways to get through that. So I owe just a huge debt of gratitude to Coach Josh and what he's been able to do for me as a master athlete.
So I think it was like a 5-part question from Randy there.
So with your young kids, wife, and a full-time job, how do you manage it all, and how can somebody look at you and say that they can do it too?
So that is one of the pieces of why, outside of it end up being, it's a different group, and I've loved all the groups I've had at 5 a.m. When I'm working out. But that is one big reason why I chose that time, because I can get all of that exercise done and not be interfering with extra time at the house with the kids. So I plan on, the great thing about CrossFit and it going into things like Spartan races, I don't have to train for the Spartan race, I can go do it, right? So I don't have to have a big build up or take any extra time, leading up to there or crazy recovery afterwards. You can just go do it. And I think with the programming and the coaching and just being dedicated, I think that can go on for a long time in whatever it might be, Spartan or something else, and be able to kind of jump to those things without having, unless it's something very specialized, some significant training before that. The kids, both of them, are going to do the kids Spartan in Dallas. They really want to do it. Barrett's, they both got to go to that one last year and see us run through the stadium and then see the kids. And it's like, look, if you guys want to do it, I bought them a Spartan shirt last year when we were done. It's like, look, this is the only one you get for free. Next year, you got to get it, right? So they're gonna both participate in that one this year. So they're gonna have a lot of fun that way. And I'm encouraging both of the kids. I really want them to do things like CrossFit, and at an early age. This sport is just in its infancy. I don't know where it's going to be by the time they're 15 and 18 and 20, but it's going to be way different and bigger, I think, than it is now. There's a lot of sports out there. There's a lot of sports that I played when I was young. The environment is not the same. Yeah. Right? We went and we tried hard, and a lot of times we lost. We did not get rewarded for it, but we knew what it was to work for it and to continue going back. And we were all in that mid-range. You had a couple of kids that were, I don't care. And you had a couple of kids and parents that, okay, my kid's going to Major League Baseball or going to be in the NBA, and how dare you not play them? Now there's nobody in the middle, and everybody either doesn't care or my kid's going to professional. And so it's hard to coach those teams. It's hard to have a kid on those teams. And so, I want them to play those sports and I want them to do those things, but it may not always be the right fit. everything I've seen so far is CrossFit's going to be that right fit as far as community, working hard, getting the reward out of yourself. You may never podium if you go do something else, but you're going to be getting better every day. You're going to see the results. So I want to instill that in them as well. So, I mean, I don't see me stopping that anytime soon. As far as the gratitude part, it's my wife and the kids. I'm super thankful. I'm trying to be more thankful every single day. Alicia sacrifices a lot to take care of me and the kids. She has a full-time job. She works from home. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I have no internet now, so we're working.
You have no internet?
She works off of internet off of her hotspot, another hotspot, my hotspot. I have no internet. This is one of the million things that she deals with every day and keeping the house going and the kids going. I thought I had options. The options didn't turn out so good. So we're struggling right now.
Oh my
so,
gosh.
It's just one thing after another. And I'm trying to be, I do a lot of things for me, like a Spartan race or whatever. And I want it to be, it's selfishly for me. I want it to be for other people, for Alicia and the kids. But I'm trying more and more to do just something that's not for me, that's not about me, that's only for them, that's not selfish, right? And show the gratitude that she and the kids deserve. And as far as people that, can I go run a Spartan or can I do CrossFit? If they look at me, if you look at me, if I can do it, anybody can do it. But my good friend Justin Honeycutt's running all the Spartan races with us this year, right? So he's getting ready. He's having a good training push to this first one in Austin. Then we're doing Dallas, and then we're going to Colorado. So instead of doing Dallas, we're going to do one in altitude this year. It might kick all of our butts, but the beast kicks our butt anyway. At least we'll have pretty scenery to look at while it's kicking our butt.
Man, I'll tell you what. I had to do the Mid-Atlantic qualifier at altitude this year. I thought I was going to die. I've never, and remind you, I lived at altitude. So I was like, this won't be a big deal. I did like a 500-meter row to warm up, and I was like, I can't breathe. I looked at my parents, and I was like, this is not going to go well. It was horrible. So have fun doing the Spartan race at altitude.
So it's going to be fun. And then I think, Dave and I, Dave is going to Mount Everest, by the way, next week.
He decided?
He's gone.
I didn't think he was going.
So you schedule something for him when he gets back and talk about that.
Oh my gosh!
So
didn't he just climb a mountain in Colorado?
Yeah, he went
14.
So he's doing base camp starting next week.
Oh man, we're gonna have to get him on.
Absolutely.
Here. That's so cool.
So
is he taking the Boy Scouts or is he going by himself?
So I think it's some dads from Boy Scouts and some other. I think it's a group of 6 or 7 that are going.
Gosh.
So he's ready. He's trained for it. He's good to go. It's going to be an experience of a lifetime for him. So
that's really cool. I'll have to ask him if he'll be on here to talk about it.
Dave, look, I like to talk. Dave likes to talk. People pay him to talk.
That's true. People do pay him to talk.
Yeah, he's gonna be good.
He's a litigator. Yeah, I don't have that kind of money.
I'll talk to him. And
Yeah. Well, awesome. The person on next week is Darren Davenport, as people may know, but people I think only know him as Davels. I invited Davels because I think he's a special case of chronic illness and how CrossFit has completely changed his life. And CrossFit is doing that, right? Like that's the way CrossFit's headed and has been focused on chronic illness and changing people's lives. And I mean, what's the stats? Like more people have lost hundreds of pounds than there have been that made it to the games or whatever Glassman says about the dedication he has with his MD level 1 cert and all that stuff. So gonna geek out a little bit because I think it's super cool that we're saving people's lives based on health with just simple CrossFit. Like, why didn't we think of this 30 years ago? Anyways, so Davos is gonna be on. So do you guys have a question, or do you think somebody that doesn't know anything about Davos? Oh, Bruce has
I do have one. I just thought,
Better not be.
and it may not be a question, but I think the audience would like to know how he deals with, on a day-to-day basis, his diabetes, And from a dietary perspective, from an insulin perspective, how often does he have to test and monitor?
Yeah.
Because it gives people a perspective of how it affects his life daily. He's another guy that just inspires me to the moon and back. What he's been able to do, and he's improved dramatically since he walked in the doors here.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's remarkable.
I love it.
I'm so proud of him.
Every time I see him do a thruster, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at him go!
Yeah.
He's doing it.
Just so proud of him. But I think the audience in general would like to hear how he deals with that every day, to maintain a moderate lifestyle.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Mine would be a little bit more.
Oh God, if it's related to his beard,
No, it's not related to his beard. It's not related to his beard. Close though. So I want to know the stories behind, because Davils is probably he's got to be the most tattooed person that I know, and I showed my brother a tattoo of his back when he got it completed, and my brother showed me a picture in a magazine that was his back when he got it completed. So he is published in magazines for the tattoos that he has. So I want to just know the story behind it, when he started, if he plans on getting any more. There's not a whole lot of body left. So I want to know a little bit more inside of that.
Okay. Yeah, because his tattoo on the back. Have you seen it fully?
I have. Yes.
Cheeks and all?
Yes.
Man, you're lucky. Because I've seen the top and I've seen the backs of his legs, and there's a lot going on. That's a lot.
It's very intricate. Yes.
Yeah, there's got to be, because how does one come up? I couldn't even tell you what I want my back of my body to be covered in. I couldn't even begin to create something. And I'm more interested in he has these circles that are missing by his armpits on his sleeves. I'm like, did you plan that, or what's the story on that? He's like,
sounds like we got a good 20 minutes worth of talk right there. There's a tattoo.
Right? I know. That's a great question. Awesome. Okay. If people want to follow you on Instagram, Facebook, oh God, they're reaching for their phones. They don't even know their own Instagram handles.
Bruce
Boyd, we know.
I figured out Instagram short time ago.
Call Bruce. Yeah, Bruce is great at talking on the phone.
Mine's easy. I forgot. Mine's just Easy Ensign. EZENSIGN. That is me on Instagram.
Like G-Eazy, like the rapper?
Did
you think you were a rapper?
Hey, listen, I don't make my own nicknames up. They were just given to me.
Oh, okay. I gotta see this gangster side of you. So Easy.
ENSIGN. Ensign, not ensign.
Ensign, for people that don't know how to spell. That's me, because that's how I always type. Every time I type his name, Ensign.
Yeah, but I've posted 4 things on Instagram.
You need to get with the program. That's the way the world is going,
I know.
my friend. That's how you become famous, didn't you know? Instagram.
I know. I'm going to start my own podcast, and I'm going to put it on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube.
You've got to blast
I'm going to Snapchat that thing.
That's right. All right, great. So Travis has Instagram. If you want to follow Bruce and his silkies, he is posted online at our Facebook page, CrossFit Stonecutter. You can check his white legs out and his bodybuilding pose, because that's my favorite photo. Travis on Instagram, if you want to get involved in the Murph challenge this May 26th. May 26th. Yes. It's online as an event for Facebook at our CrossFit Stonecutter page. It'll also be on eventbrite.com, going live here in the next week. I want to thank you guys for being here. It was a little long, I'm sorry, but the two of you are great, and I just want to know more, because you don't talk as much when we're training. So I'd love to chat with you in this kind of environment. And thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 3. Please follow, subscribe, leave comments, tell them how much you love the beard. We need to make an Instagram for your beard, by the way. And then we can start glitterifying it and putting ornaments in it. And
easy now.
That's how we can make you famous.
I'm on board. Let's do it.
Oh,
right
now
now
you want to do an Instagram for
yeah,
it,
my
involving the beard.
My beard will instantly have more posts than I have
and
the entire life.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably, definitely.
So thanks again for coming to Pound the Rock Podcast.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you.